Forecast though for the 95 corridor. I'm standing here in Boston thanks to our virtual view technology. Here in the downtown area, we are going to go through quite the transition in Boston Common. We've got cloudy and cold conditions today. A blustery raw rain will begin to come down tonight and even into your morning commute tomorrow. And then those winds will really start to crank. We're talking gusts up to 50, even 60 miles an hour. And then we see that rain change over to snow. So I know we have a huge deficit when it comes to snowfall this season, about 31 inches on the waterfront, but we finally could get some decent snow, especially north and west of Boston. We'll have to watch out for the threat for coastal flooding as well with that nor'easter. It's that steady northeast wind that pushes up the water along the coastline. So in the purple, that's your chance for seeing at least 5 to 8 inches of snow. As Steph talked about, the interior sections of New England back toward the Berkshires, southern Vermont, New Hampshire, that's where we're expecting those higher totals. But for a place like Boston, where we actually start as rain and then go over to snow, it's all about timing. And by the time the cold air gets here, how much moisture is still in play. But the winds will begin to increase even later on tonight. The rain starts up, your morning commute, here it is with the rainfall, and then we see that transition coming. While you're at work tomorrow, it's going to happen. We see that rain changing over to snow, winds gusting as high as 50, even 60 miles an hour. That's why we have that high wind warning in effect along the Massachusetts coastline, and that snow will eventually taper off by Wednesday. But it is going to be a rather long duration in terms of that wind, so don't just stock up on the bread and the milk. You definitely need the batteries and the flashlights handy as well. Snow showers back into Vermont and also into New Hampshire. We've also got the rain changing over to snow across the Berkshires, and that snow will be heavy at times. As you can see, that transition line cutting right across Worcester, and you're going to see basically terrible conditions for travel all day long, whether it's the rain and wind or the snow and wind. It is going to be just a terrible travel day. I expect to see not just delays but possible cancellations. Getting into some of these airports, you see that little bit of a snow shadow effect here on the eastern side of the Berkshires. We may not get as much, maybe even a dry slot setting up, but on either side, you've got the ability to get as much as 2 feet of snow in places like North Adams and Pittsfield, Mass, over towards the southern parts of Vermont, Bennington and Windham counties. For New York City, the rain will start up for you later on tonight into tomorrow morning and basically go most of our Tuesday. So you see maybe on the back end, we will switch over to snow. Even the east end of Long Island, there's that possibility we get some accumulating snow around Syosset and the Hamptons here, and you can see the winds are also cranking around New York Harbor up to 35 or 40 miles an hour. But the Northern State Parkway, we could see as much as 2 or maybe 3 inches of snow, but up towards, say, Orange County, Westchester County, and my hometown of Dutchess County, Jordan, we could see several inches of snow, so maybe a snow day for the kids.
So how's your family feeling? Are they excited about it?
In Sage, we do have cold air. So as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday morning, about 138 some odd million people will be feeling that chilly air, and it gets all the way down into portions of the south. Thursday, it lifts a little bit, but there's still plenty of cold here in the west and along the east coast as well. Where's all that cold air? It's up into Canada, and our satellites, they're temperature seeking. So when it's looking at clouds, the higher the cloud is, the cooler it is, and the lower the cloud is, the warmer it is, and it can distinguish if it's a high cloud or low cloud. That was what we're looking at. So here we're looking at all the cold temperatures, and notice it's actually picking up on some of that cold air right on the ground, picking up on some of that snow. We've got snow into North Dakota, and you can also see the clouds that are moving along, and they are taller clouds where you see those brighter yellows and orange, and that blue is going to be a little bit closer to the ground. So all that cold air is going to be dripping southbound. International Falls, Bismarck, we're already below 0 this morning. And it's not only as we head into tomorrow morning, but into our Wednesday morning. And remember, the Northeast at that time is going to have very brutal winds. So we're going to see our wind chills up there. Everyone's literally going to be like, what the heck happened? We've had the warmest winter, and now all of a sudden we're dealing with this. Hey, freeze advisories into the south as well, all the way south of the I-20 corridor. Getting into Tampa tomorrow morning, 56 is all we're going to muster. While we see the 30s, you're going to need your winter coat, your gloves, your hat as you go out in the morning hours. Now, if we look at their last freeze dates, they can last until April, but I'm not sure we're going to get all the way into April with our last freeze dates, Kelly, as we do see our rebound coming here on Friday. And of course, we just jumped ahead with our time.
We did.
Higher sun angle, all those things will come into play.
Which is a more potential for severe weather. Already this morning, we've had tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. You can see the winds that have been produced by those storms around Gainesville, Florida. Wind gusts to 62 miles an hour up across the Perry Foley Airport, 54, and also around the Cedar Island area, we did gusts to over 40 miles per hour. Recently, we had a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Daytona Beach. That storm has moved offshore, but notice off to the west, we're about to get hit again. We've got a lot of lightning showing up in that storm south and east of Ocala. Not severe right now, though, and we'll be watching these storms as they approach Cocoa Beach and Melbourne Beach as well. We do have plenty of energy and instability already at this early hour, but given the fact that we'll have more daytime heating, I think there will be a better chance for those severe storms to really fire up here along the I-4 corridor, I-75, I-95 as well. Spring breakers, beware. If you're not used to storms here in Florida, know what county you're in. That's how they issue the warnings, of course. And there is a look at our future radar. If you're hitting the theme parks around Orlando, storms coming through around lunchtime. Good time to get inside the bowling alleys or maybe play some indoor mini golf. You've got the storms down towards Sarasota, making their way towards Fort Myers by later this afternoon. And even the Space Coast over here around Cape Canaveral still dealing with the stormy weather late this afternoon. Listen for that thunder. Look for the ominous dark skies. Get indoors when thunder roars. Tonight, we will see cooler, drier conditions, especially northern Florida. And then by tomorrow, the sunshine is back here in Florida, Jordan. So it looks a whole lot better. But as Stephanie mentioned, it's going to be cooler the next few days.
In and out, though. That's why everyone loves going down to Florida this time of year.
We're all the way already into the northeast. Everything's going to come together tomorrow. We actually have a little piece of energy to the south as well. And that's going to bring us a pretty intense nor'easter. This morning, it is all light snow. We don't have the winds. They haven't kicked in just yet. But it will be a Tuesday, Wednesday event for us. Behind the system, we have cold air. Anywhere from International Falls to Bismarck, Rapid City, that cooler air has already gotten into you. That's going to continue its dive southbound, and it's going to make its way all the way into the southeast, the I-20 corridor for tomorrow morning. Hang on until Wednesday. Thursday, we still see some cooler temperatures, but it does start to moderate a bit, because you'll see that we lose about, 20 million or so that will be below freezing. But it's still chilly out there. Tomorrow morning, our lows will be in the single digits into Minneapolis, 20s into St. Louis, the 30s down into Nashville, even into Raleigh. So, all winter long, you've been able to wear shorts, T-shirts, but now you're going to need the winter jacket here in March as we have freeze alerts anywhere from the Carolinas all the way into Arkansas. And tomorrow morning, our temperatures, even down to the I-10 corridor, will be into the 40s and 50s. Look at Jacksonville, 42 degrees tomorrow morning. Even Tampa, 56, which actually is quite cold for Floridians. I can say that because I was born and raised there. We'll stay nice and warm into South Florida. If you look at when we typically see our last freeze, it's usually here into mid to late March in Atlanta, Charlotte, into Birmingham. So there is still, time for us to see these freezes. It's not out of the ordinary. It's just that it's been so warm, Kelly. It's kind of throwing us off because we usually are starting to warm up, and we will on Friday. But 26 in Nashville, oof, Wednesday morning.
Yeah, the heaters will be cranked up over the next couple of mornings, that's for sure. Well, California gearing up for the next atmospheric river event. It rolls in tomorrow and will be the 11th of the state's wild winter. New this morning, people have a few short hours for cleanup today after a weekend atmospheric river drenched California. Call for Boston. It's still a winter storm watch for now. The Weather Service kind of weighing the information and tracking it because it's either going to be a winter weather advisory for Boston, where I'm standing right now due to our virtual view technology, or if they get more snow, they'll upgrade that to a winter storm warning. So we're still kind of waiting on that information. But here at Boston Common, we start with cloudy, blustery conditions. Rain moves in tonight, and then Tuesday is your transformation day. We're going to see that rain changing over to snow during the middle of the afternoon, and then the wind's going to kick in and blow that snow sideways. We have a deficit of snowfall for about 31 inches. So definitely, hopefully making a little bit of a dent in that overall drought, but we got to watch the waterfront too, because there's that possibility we could see some coastal flooding, especially around the Cape Cod area due to that push of water with that northeast wind. So here's a look at our accumulation forecast. The lighter purple indicating anywhere from 5 to 8 inches. Back towards the Worcester Hills, we could see closer to 1.5 feet, even closing in on 2 feet of snow. Not out of the question. So for Boston, we'll watch those winds begin to increase along with the rain, making the umbrella go sideways out there, right? 20, 25 miles an hour already. The possibility of delays at Logan due to the rain and wind. And then while you're sitting in your office, your cubicle, the rain changes over to snow. We'll see what the schools end up doing, but especially north and west, those suburbs, that's where we're expecting those higher totals to be. Certainly out towards Plymouth and Cape Cod, lesser amounts with the ocean influence there. Over towards toward the Berkshires and southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, Worcester, we are expecting the wind to increase here as well. Notice Pittsfield, we start with that wintry mix. The winds really don't kick in until overnight into Tuesday morning. And you'll see those winds cranking around 20, 25, even 30 miles an hour across Worcester and over towards eastern areas of Massachusetts. That snow will eventually taper off as we head towards Wednesday morning, but not before delivering this. The plows will be out for sure. Snow emergencies could go into effect. Know what side of the street to park on so the plows can do their job. You've got Pittsfield closing in on 1.5 feet of snowfall. There could be a little bit of snow shadow effect here on the eastern side of the Berkshires and even a dry slot. So here's like in New York City, the rain coming through as well. There will be wind energy picking up during the day Tuesday. So tonight it's rain. It's cold rain. Temperatures in the upper 30s to low 40s. Then we see that switch over occur out toward the Jericho Turnpike, Northern State Parkway, out toward the Hamptons too. We'll see that wintry mix coming on through Tuesday afternoon. And then eventually that snow will move out, but the winds will remain. So there still could be some residual delays, possible cancellations at LaGuardia, Kennedy Airport. You can see not much for Central Park, but some of the outlying areas, especially say up towards Putnam County, around Mahopac, and certainly across the Catskills, Jordan, will likely see several inches of snow.
All right, but
Tomorrow morning in the Northeast and really tomorrow during the day, we will have that wind chill effect because the winds are going to be 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe even 65 miles an hour. Freeze advisories from the Carolinas all the way over into Arkansas. Notice even down into Tampa, 56 degrees starting off our morning, so it will be a cold one. Now, typically, we see our last freeze in Atlanta kind of about when we are a little bit later into Charlotte, Birmingham, and Nashville. But you can go all the way into, look at that, nearly mid-April for Charlotte. One time we had our last freeze, so it can go later in the year. We are going to see a nice rebound here above average by a few degrees on Friday. So it's not long lasting. I think it'll give relief to some of the allergy sufferers out there. That will be helpful. Wednesday morning, we still have the winds cranking in the Northeast. So it's going to feel a lot colder than these temperatures actually say on our map. Thursday morning, we moderate in the south a little bit, but we hold on to that cold. Thankfully, the winds will start to die down for us here into the Northeast. Look at Nashville, 39 is our average low, and we are going to be some 15 degrees colder than that, Kelly, for our Wednesday morning.
Yeah, meantime, it's